Hi, welcome to Undead Yarn. This is episode 36. My name is Heidi, and you can find me on Ravelry and Plurk as Knitty Girl, and on Instagram and YouTube and Twitter as Knitty Girl 1. How are you guys doing? I feel like it's been a really long time, but I think it's only been 2 weeks. I guess because so much happened in the last few weeks. You know, we had New Year's and then went back to work, and then I had the Yellow Rose Fiber Festival that I vended at my first time, for my first time. So I feel like the last couple weeks have just been a whirlwind, but a good whirlwind. Anyway, why don't I go ahead and start talking about what I have on the needles. I'm hoping that all my projects are here. Here's one. Here's two. And I know there's three. Okay, good. I've got all of them. 3 works in progress. I did not work on my Via Haunt at all. Just didn't get to it. I'm almost finished with my Fiber Nymph socks that I was knitting out of the... Oh, I don't have the label in here. Oh, here it is. Yes, it is. I have it. Merry and Bright colorway. And I have 2 socks. I know they're Christmas socks, but I can still wear them all year round. These are finished, except for the heels. So these are finished, or almost finished. I'm making myself finish these before I cast on. I wound up another skein of Fiber Nymph. Let me show. Here's my other skein that I'm dying to knit with ever since I bought it. This is called an Enclave of Yellows, and she has several monochromatic striping colors. There's some other ones I'm interested in, but I had to go with the yellow first because, well, it's yellow. You guys know I love yellow. And this is going to be a Quaker yarn stretcher, so when I finish my socks, that's what I'm planning to start. I'm also working on 2 things in my yarns. One of them you saw last time. I am about the same place I was last time because I brought this with me to the Fiber Festival. But you know, I am not a good talker and knitter on something that requires any type of thinking. Now, I thought this was going to be easy because it's basically like yarn over, knit 2 together every 3 or 4 rows, something like that, in the middle, and it's not even the whole thing. The rest of it is garter stitch. This is this pattern is Mirabelle by Stephanie Pelkman, and if you haven't checked out her patterns, you should go and check some more of her patterns out. She posted, she actually has a crochet sweater posted, so she does knitting and crochet. And this is in my... This is really a neon shire colorway because it's brighter than the regular shire. Let me see if I can change the lighting a little bit. Nope, not really. It needs to be on me. But it's brighter than it looks. If you want to see exactly what the colors look like, you can go on Instagram and see what they look like, and also on my projects page on Ravelry. So I'm still kind of at the same place because I knit several rows while I was sitting at Yellow Rose Fiber Fest, and then I realized I was like, there are I had like 10 yarn over knit together, or yarn over knits in the middle, and it kept growing and growing. I'm like, there's not supposed to be this many yarn over and knits, so I had added a whole bunch of yarn overs, so I had to rip it back to where I'd started. So I've probably knit up to that point since then. So I'm still probably a little bit more than 50% done. This is in my werewolf base, and I still have this much left. And then this is how much I have for the rest of it. This yarn has 400 yards in it, and it's a DK weight. And it squishes when you touch it, but when you touch it, it's not... It is squishy, and it's very bouncy when you're knitting it. I love knitting with it, but it's not the softest yarn. Let I don't have any over here, but my worsted weight is actually my softest yarn. That is a single ply. No, I can't say that's the softest because my cashmere, most of the yarns are pretty soft. I would say this one is the most rustic out of all of them. It's very squishy, but it's not, you don't, you know, it's not like soft on your face. And so I do have another DK base that I'm trying out, but I really like this one. When I get it and I have to soak it before I dye it, it smells like sheep. This is a very sheepy yarn, and when I put it in the water and let it soak, you can see the lanolin, like it, you can see it when you're soaking it. So I really like this. It comes in a lot of yards. It's just not, it's not the softest yarn in the world, but it's also not that rough, and it knits up very nicely. It's very bouncy. And after you start knitting it, it doesn't feel rustic at all. So I really enjoy this yarn, and I love the yardage on it. I may have to knit a sweater out of it eventually. Okay, anyway, that's that one. And then I wanted to show you, I am working on a new dyeing technique, and, oh, this is not it. What did I do with that? Oh, there's that bag. I have stuff everywhere still. I thought as soon as I was done with Yellow Rose, I would be cleaning everything up, but I find that I was cleaning slowly, but I have so much stuff that I need to put up in the shop now because there's still leftovers from the shop, from the show. So you'll notice I have started slowly updating the shop. But anyway, this is also in my Undead yarn, and I do not have a name for this colorway. I may not even dye this colorway. I did this for myself because I like these colors. But this is a fingerless mitt. As you can see, it's a gradient with skinny stripes. And of course, because I wanted to do what my colors are, I did red and orange and brown and yellow. So this is one mitt, and I am in the process of knitting the other one, and I just finally got to the part where it's orange and yellow. It's starting to switch right here. And those colors are pretty true to color. And I kind of improvised this mitt, so what I may do is when I'm finished, put it up and then put the instructions for it on my project page. It's going to be more like a recipe, because you're going to want to fit it to your own arm. I started off with 64 stitches, and that's what I normally start off with for a sock. So my guess is if your arm, a lot of times your foot is the same length as your forearm. So my guess is if you start off with the amount of stitches that you normally use for a sock for yourself, that will work. And what I did was I did ribbing for about 1 inch, and then I kept going, and then as I started getting towards this area, you can see I probably could have decreased a little bit more. I started decreasing so that it would be a snug fit. And then for the thumb, I basically just bound off a certain number of stitches for the thumb, so I didn't have to do I wanted my thumb to be free in this one. I have some other ones where the thumb is covered, so I'm going to try it like this and see how I like it. But I will put that up probably when I finished the pair. And not this week, because this week I am mostly going to be working on updating the shop, but sometime next week I will have another colorway that's going to be similar, but it will be in more my signature colors for the shop. So that's what I'm working on right now. I don't have any FOs, and despite my goal of more spinning, I don't have any spinning either. I'm hoping to remedy that today. I want to take the Jinx BFL fiber that I have had sitting for a while and 2-ply it tonight. The problem is I need to put on the jumbo bobbin, and of course I'm too lazy to do it, and that doesn't take that long. I'm like, oh, I have to put the new bobbin on. Isn't that terrible? So anyway, I think somebody else said that recently. I don't remember who I was watching that said that. Yeah. So that's where I am with that. The big thing I'm going to talk about this week is the Yellow Rose Fiber Festival. The only other thing I have to mention that we did besides that is we did see the last Hobbit movie over the break, and it was really, really good. I really enjoyed it. If you like the other Hobbit movies, I would recommend going to it. There's some sad moments in the movie, but it's still, you know, like all those stories, it's like an epic tale. So if you like the first two, I would go see the last one. It was really good. But my big thing that I'm going to be talking about is Yellow Rose Fiber Festival. First of all, I was worried when I went down. We went down on Thursday night. I was worried that the weather was going to be bad because we kept getting forecast of freezing rain. And they said there was a chance of freezing rain on Saturday morning was the highest chance, but the temperatures were going to be low in the 30s throughout the weekend. So we really didn't know. Friday, it was a possibility too, Friday morning. We were lucky. In the long run, it didn't happen, but it wasn't the best weather, and I think that it may have reduced the number of people who came to Yellow Rose Fiber Festival. And also, it was after Christmas, so, you know, some people may have already felt like they spent their money. But I still ended up, after I added up all my sales and everything, I still ended up making money. I didn't make a huge profit, but I did make back my booth fee, and I was able to pay for our hotel stay, and I made a little money. So I'm going to go back and check, but people assured me that have been there, and I know because I've been to the festival before, that normally there's a lot more traffic. So next year it's going to be in April. I'm not sure if I'm going to be vending at it. That's my crunch time at work, so I may not be able to swing it, but if I can, I will definitely be back. I love the people who ran the show, and all the people around me were they were really wonderful. I don't think I could have had a better first experience. I really enjoyed myself, and yeah, I would really enjoy doing vending again because my experience was very positive. So what I'm going to do is show you the things that I got, and then while I'm showing you the things that I got, I'll talk a little bit about the festival. It didn't take us that long to set up. I've had a lot of people tell me that it takes 2 to 3 hours to set up. It took us an hour. And that may be because I didn't have grid walls. I used crates. And at first I thought we weren't going to be able to fit everything in one car, but because we also brought our pets with us. But I was able to do that because if you looked on Instagram, I used those bags where you can shove all the yarn in and then vacuum it so that everything sucks in, so you have like the least amount of space you would need. And I filled 2 bags with yarn and 2 huge bags. Well, one was a really big bag, one was like a medium bag. But they were both filled with yarn, and the nice thing is on the way home, we only needed one of the bags. I only needed the bigger bag because I had sold enough that we could fit it all in one bag. The people around me were really nice. On one side was Cibolo Creek alpacas, and they're from near San Antonio, and I did buy some alpaca socks from them. I don't have them because I've worn them the last 2 days because it's been really cold, and they've been really wonderful and soft on my feet. But they're not in shape to show. But the neat thing is on the top of the cuff there's a little embroidered alpaca on it, and they're brown and cozy and squishy and comfy. So that was one of my neighbors. And then another one of my neighbors that was across from me was selling these kits. And I bought one because it was really interesting. When she first, when the festival first opened, she was holding this disc, and she was making, let me see if there's a picture of what they look like in here. She was making these necklaces. Or bracelets. You can make a bracelet or a necklace. And this is called Chemo Japanese Braiding Kit. And she was using ribbon yarn. And I have a lot of ribbon yarn. And while I do enjoy, I have one pattern I love for ribbon tops. Ribbon yarn can be tricky to knit with. And I probably have more ribbon yarn than I'm actually going to knit tank tops with. So I thought this would be a good use for it. In my kit, I didn't get ribbon yarn because I already have ribbon yarn. And I wanted to make the smaller, more dainty version, so I got, it's kind of, what would you say, a little fatter than fingering, weight yarn. And this is going to be used to make a necklace. Here are my clasps. She had clasps to go with it, and this, I should say, this is from Oak Grove Studios, and they are in Arkansas. Actually, I should say she is in Arkansas. It's one woman. Her name is Linda, and she's been in the industry for a long time, and she was using this kit to make these bracelets. And I'm trying to see if it shows the picture of the yarns, but I want to see if I can show you what. There's not an exact picture of the one that I'm going to make. The one that I'm going to make is skinnier, but you can use beads. These are the beaded ones to make bracelets and necklaces. But I'm just going to use yarn. When she was standing, she was just doing that while we were all vending, and it was very simple, and I thought, oh, that looks really neat, and I can use up a lot of my ribbon yarn, and I would wear it because I like necklaces and bracelets. So this is a Kumi Himo Japanese braiding kit. That was the first thing I bought. And there's going to be a little rustling here. And then there was a lady a little bit further down, and I bought some of her yarn before. I haven't knit with it yet, but it's sitting right over there because it's yellow with lots of splashes of color, and you know I love yellow. And I actually bought yarn in the same base, but these are different colors, and they're not my normal colors. But it made me think of Easter, and that is something that is coming up, so I think these will be my Easter socks. This is called she's Heavenly Fiber, and this is in the Stardust base, and the colorway is Spring, and that's beautiful. Of course, you can see the sparkle. That's exactly what it looks like, the purples, greens, and blues. It's just gorgeous. So that's going to make a really nice pair of socks. I haven't knit with variegated yarn, socks for variegated yarn for a long time, so if you guys have any suggestions for patterns, I like patterns that are not too difficult. When they get too difficult, I find that I kind of end up giving up on the socks, and I like to just speed through my socks, get them done so I can wear them. But I think this would look nice in some kind of simple pattern. And I met quite a few people that were there, and got a chance to talk to a lot of the vendors. One I kept going back to is they were sharing a booth, and they called themselves Ba Studio, and it was Brazen Stitchery and Barb's Dragon, and I will show you their cards because they're really cool. They're very similar, but they do each have their own business. They just were sharing a booth. So here is Brazen Stitchery. And I will show you what I bought from her first. Actually, she was my first purchase over in her booth. Their booth was amazing. They had amazing colors. Everything was bright and brilliant, and it just drew me in. And they were one of my favorite booths to go in because I really like their stuff. So this is what I bought from Brazen Stitchery, and you can see why I bought it, right? It's orange, oranges, 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 and a little bit of red. And this color is called Hellmouth. I was like, oh, I have to have that. And this is 490 yards. Isn't that nice? 490 yards of 100% superwash merino. Not sure what I'm going to do with it, but it would be great for a shawl. That's a lot of yards. And the other thing that I bought from her was a bag, and I had to get this bag because it was really funny. People kept asking me, why are you called Undead? Because I like horror movies. Next time I told her I'm just going to hold up, I'm going to use this, bring this bag with me next time I vend, and I'm just going to hold this up. Because I love zombies. So this is also from Brazen Stitchery. So she had bags, and she also had yarn, and I don't remember if she had fiber. I'm not sure, but I did buy fiber from her partner, who has lovely colors. And one of the ladies from one of the booths bought the same colorway I did. This is the Barb Dragon. She has lovely, lovely, lovely fiber. She had yak, she had silk, she had all kinds of stuff. But I got this one because of the color. This is Multipass. And I just had to have it because it's got yellow and purple and gray. It's just gorgeous. And also, of course, my hot pink. It had like all the right colors. And here's her tag. Isn't that cool? The Barb Dragon. And apparently it's a reference to The Fifth Element. Now, I have seen that movie twice. My husband loves it. But I didn't remember what Multipass was. And the other person who bought this fiber, because I think she bought it because of the name, and she loved the way that the colors looked because she knew that it was a Fifth Element reference, is Juliana from You're So Crafty. She works at You're So Crafty. She's not the owner, but she works there, and she and I talked a lot while we were vending, and her husband was there, and her husband and my husband talked a lot, so yeah, I made a new friend. And I like the You're So Crafty booth. I just didn't find anything in there that I didn't already have. They did have Yarn Carnival yarn, but you guys know I've already bought some, and I even made my mizzle out of it. So, but that is in Seguin, and I was talking to the owner. I don't remember her name, but the owner told me that they've been there for 7 years, and I didn't realize that. Apparently, they're not just a yarn shop, although they do have a good amount of yarn. They do other things. There's, let's see, there's pottery. You can paint pottery. You can make a mosaic. You can make a bracelet. It says they have paint and sip parties, so they do a little bit of everything. So if you're in Seguin, I would recommend checking that out. It sounds like you can get your craft on there. So that's the stuff that I bought. I think that's everything that I bought at the Yellow Rose. And Brazen Stitchery caught me later and was nice enough to give me this. And it's so gorgeous. This is called Zombie Prom Queen. And look at that. It's greens with like red stellina. Oh my god, it's so gorgeous. And at first I just thought it was like a little bump of fiber, but no, look. It's a bat. Awesome. Full of awesomeness. So you should go and check out Brazen Stitchery and Barb Dragon online. I think I noticed that Barb Dragon has moved, I think, to Store Envy. I'm not sure Brazen Stitchery. Let's see. It says she's on Etsy, so you can check her out on Etsy. But those two women had lots of colors that I just was drawn to. So those are some more people to check out. And while I was there, I also got to talk a little bit with Stacia Mustache. She came through, and I got to meet Bookish Stitcher Jeanette from Bookish Stitcher podcast, and we talked for a while, and I really enjoyed meeting her, and I look forward to hanging out in DFW, hopefully. So let's see, I have to make sure I have my show notes because there were so many things I wanted to talk about today. I think that I went over everything I wanted to talk about from the Fiber Fest. And yes, the next thing I was going to talk about is I started watching what I'm watching. I started watching a new series called Darknet. It's got hour-long episodes, and each one is different. What does it remind? It reminds me of some movies I've seen that you're not really sure what's happening, but each story is separate, but each one ends in a horrific way. So they're like little mini episodes. I would say they could be similar to, what was that Not Amazing Tales, because that wasn't really scary. Probably more like Twilight Zone, but more towards the horror bend. Each one is different, and the stories are really cool and creepy. And I'm watching that on Netflix. And then I'm also watching Once Upon a Time Season 2. I started watching that a while ago, but now I kind of want to get through it because Season 3 is going to be coming out not too far away. And somebody asked me, and I don't remember if I answered them on Ravelry, they asked me if I'd seen Arrow. Yeah, I didn't care for Arrow. And there was another one they said. Two of the things they mentioned I had seen and didn't like, but there was one, Continuum. I will check that out. I haven't seen that one yet. I mostly watch sci-fi and fantasy horror stuff, so I don't, well, not necessarily sci-fi. I don't always get into all the sci-fi. Like, I don't care for Doctor Who. I enjoyed watching it, but it's not something that drew me in, that made me want to keep watching the next one and the next one and the next one. I've seen 2 of them. That's it. So I really am more drawn to horror stuff or fantasy stuff, I guess. But I do like some science fiction. What I've been reading, I finished The Magician's Land yesterday, and I just love that series. I found the audiobook for one of them, and I bought that, and I may have to go back and listen to it. You know, I don't know if I would read it again, but I definitely would listen to the whole series again. I enjoyed it that much. And I have some ideas in my head about what to do for the last colorway, because I did do a Magician colorway and the Magician's Land colorway, and the last one I'm almost tempted to do 2 colorways for it, but I might try to see if I can figure out a way to put it all into one. But it might be overkill if I put all my ideas onto one. We'll see. Amazing series. And it didn't end the way I thought it was going to end, so it was kind of a surprise. But I really enjoyed it. If you like fantasy, I think you would like it. At the beginning, I guess the first 2 books are kind of dark. The last book is dark, but not quite as dark, because the main character has kind of grown up and he has a different outlook on life. So check it out if you're interested in fantasy. It's really good. And the other book that I'm still reading is Herland by Charlotte Perkins Gilman, and actually I'm listening to that through Craftlit with Heather Ordover. She took a little break, but for Christmas, but well, not a break, but they were reading a different book at Christmas time, so now she's back on Herland, and I really like it. And it's kind of to the point where it's taken this twist that now she's like, okay, well, this is, now you know why this book was considered science fiction. And it's interesting, I was listening to a podcast about horror women writers, or women horror writers, and I thought it was going to be about their books, but it really was more about the history of horror writing. And the lady who, I don't know which author it was, but she was talking about how they try to say that there's not really many women horror writers, but in the past, we may have been the ones who actually started the horror genre because of Mary Shelley, who wrote Frankenstein. That was one of the first horror books. And also science fiction and fantasy, since Herland, she even mentioned Herland, that a lot of those stories were lost. And it wasn't necessarily because they were written by women, but there were apparently a lot of horror and science fiction fantasy stories written by women in the past, but they stopped being published. Just like they did a lot of different authors, they would stop publishing them. So I guess now people are rediscovering a lot of these horror writers and science fiction and fantasy writers, and apparently women have always been involved in that. So that was kind of interesting. I also started Dead and Gone by Charlene Harris. I am going to start Sword of Shannara, I promise, Penhook and Needle ladies. But I need a little cleanser, because Dead and Gone is by Charlene Harris, is one of the Sookie Stackhouse stories, and those stories always like make me laugh, and I don't know, they're humorous, while being supernatural at the same time. So that's my little palette cleanser. Once I'm done with that, I will start Sword of Shannara. I just have so many series going, but I'm looking forward to that one. I have so many series going. Like I said, this one, Dead and Gone, has been sitting on my shelf for a long time. I find that I don't like speed through series. I read a couple at a time, and then I go to another one, and then I read a couple at, you know, I think I like to stretch them out. So that's where I am with my reading. I haven't read any of the other books that I mentioned last time because I've mostly been dying and getting ready for the show. But, and I was going to start a show along in January, and look, here we are. What is it, January 16th? I think Show Along will start in February 1st, and I wanted to run it for 3 months. So I'm going to run it for February, March, and April. Yeah, it'll end at the end of April. And you already know I'm going to make a shaker yarn stretcher, but I plan to make whatever shawls I want to during that time. So come join. It'll start February 1st. I'll put the, why am I losing my train of thought? I'll put a thread up on February 1st. So I'm going to show you guys, before I show you the new yarns, because I do have some new yarns from the show that I haven't put up yet that I wanted to show on the podcast first. But I also wanted to mention that in December we did have one FO in Undead Yarn, and it was by Polly81. So Polly, you are eligible for a $7 or less pattern, so let me know what pattern you want. I'll probably try to ear burn you if I don't hear from you in a week or so. And also, those of you who, I think there were 2 people in the last couple of months who had finished objects in Undead Yarn, I will be sending you a coupon code after I update the shop. I only feel like it's fair that I wait until everything that you can pick from is in the shop. So now I'm going to go ahead and, if you're not interested, I will see you later. But I do have some new things in the shop, and some of them are pretty cool. So I'm going to go ahead and start off with the ones that I think are the most, probably be the most interesting, or the newest. I do have one sock blank yet left. I don't know if I mentioned that I was dyeing sock blanks for the Fiber Festival, but I dyed 3 of them. 2 of them are gone. Here is one that I still have left. And I will try to post a photo of it laid out, but I wanted to show you it here. So this will be up in the shop, and this is 463 yards of, I believe it's 75% superwash merino and 25% nylon. So this is a Pennywise progressive. And I also have sock gradients. I had 2 of these. One of them sold. One is still left. Remember these socks that I made a long time ago in my Pennywise? Well, I have, this is my MCN base, so this is cashmere, merino cashmere nylon. I have matching skeins, and there's only one of these 2. I will be doing more, but it may be a couple of weeks before I get more up in the shop, because I do want to work on that. Like I showed you my new technique, I'm going to work on that first. So those are the 2 really brand new ones. Here is, I do have some new bases to show you, and here is a sock that I dyed. This one is a little bit darker than the samples that I have. And if you're looking for something that will knit up like this, this is the Grimace colorway, and the ones that are on my BFL base are the ones that will knit up like this. Now you can see the purple is not quite as dark. It's a little bit different, so the colorway is not as dark as this one, but it is a purple, like purpley gradient with white. And it should knit up like that. It's like kind of stripy, like little skinny stripes. So this is Grimace, and I believe I have either 3 or 4 of these that will be going up in the shop. So if you see the ones that are BFL, they will knit up like this. And actually, I will put this picture in there so you know that this is the right colorway, because I do have some Grimace that are the same purples that will not knit up like this. I just dyed them with that color because it's a color that I came up with myself. And let me show you. Here's one that I have. I put some up yesterday, so if you go to Instagram, you can see what the merino silk looks like, what the single ply fingering looks like. This is a new base I'm trying out. I'm not sure if I'm going to continue with it. I guess I will see how it sells and if people like it. This is a DK weight, and this is 50% merino and 50% silk, and this is in my Grimace colorway. You can see it came out lighter on the silk than it did on the BFL. See, it's the same color, but it came out differently. So this one is basically a semi-solid. And it has 231 yards, and I have 2 of these available. I also have 2 on that new base that are in the graveyard colorway. I believe the graveyard colorway. I also posted that on Instagram so you can see what that looks like. And then I was going to show you some of the new, these are all roadkill, and they're just one of, well, this one isn't one of a kind because I have a couple of them. I was trying to dye the gargoyle colorway, and I ended up putting in one of the wrong colors, so it has more pink. This one is gargoyle with more pinkish mauve tone in it. And this is a roadkill, and this is my other DK weight. No, this one is fingering. Okay. I do have 2 in DK, I know that. Maybe 3. I may have 3 in DK. And this is the new fingering base. I don't know if I told y'all that I am discontinuing the vampire base. I've had some disappointing results with it, so I have decided that I am not going to be using that one anymore. And I'm trying out new merino nylon fingering bases. This one, this is my first one I'm trying out. I'm going to actually knit it up and see what it's like. It feels nice, but I want to knit it up and actually try it out before I say that this is going to be permanently in the shop. But it is a good yarn, so I'm pretty sure we're going to be pretty pleased with this, but I'm not sure if this is going to be the one that I stick with. And that is 462 yards, and it's 80% superwash merino, 20% nylon. And then I have, here's another roadkill. This one is a lighter version of, this is more of a lilac than the Grimace. And this one's pretty solid. This is a pretty solid lilac color. And this is on the Medusa base, which is 70% merino, 30% silk, 438 yards. And here's another roadkill. This is a self-striping. I'm calling it roadkill, but if y'all like it, I am able to reproduce this one. It is self-striping, and it's a purple and a neon purple. So it's a 2-striper, and the stripes are the same size. And it's not skinny stripes like this. It's my regular self-striping yarn. So if you see examples of my regular self-striping yarn, you will know what this looks like. So this is roadkill as well, and this is on my new base I was talking about, 462 yards, and it's superwash merino and nylon. So, oh, this one, this is on my old base. So you will notice that there still are some vampire base colorways in there, and those have been discounted because I'm going to be discontinuing them. So this one is actually in the vampire base. I had missed that. So the vampire base will be discounted if you are interested in getting it. It's, you know, I still have had good success with making socks and stuff, but I think that I can probably get a little bit better product. But these are on sale, and they still work. They're still good yarn. It's just I'm looking for something a little bit different. So anyway, I think that I have talked about everything I needed to talk about, and get your shawl patterns ready for February. and I will talk to you guys in a couple of weeks. And with that, I want you to get busy knitting or get busy dyeing.